There's Mr. Jack, and Mr. Jack wants to start a layers poultry business. And Mr. Jack is wondering, do I need a business plan? Is it necessary? Is it important? Okay, now that it is important, how do I go about writing it? So if you're interested in how Mr. Jack went about writing his business plan, then you should watch this video to the end. A business plan is a blueprint that directs your business. A business plan is a document that highlights the plans, the goals of a business, and how the business wants to go about achieving those goals, those plans. A properly written business plan must contain the company's financial projection. It should contain market research. It should contain business purpose. It should also contain the mission statements of the business. Another thing is that a business plan should be concise. It should also be simple, so it gives room for easy monitoring. You probably wonder, why should I write a business plan? Why should Mr. Jack write a business plan for his layers poultry farm? Number one is that it helps to avoid trial and error. It helps to avoid mistakes when the business starts. It helps to identify everything you need in that business to kick off and to also succeed. The good thing about a business plan is that the owner can make adjustments to it at any time it deems fit. It can add new ideas to the business plan. It can add, it can think of something that it feels will be beneficial to his business at any point and also add to it. So the business plan is not set in stone. It can be adjusted as needed. And if you're wondering how come I have an authority in this, it's because I am a layers poultry farmer and I have been in this business in the last 3 years. So if you're coming across my face for the first time, if a video from me is popping up on your timeline for the first time, my name is Modupe. Do well to subscribe on this channel before you leave. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for stopping again. So when writing a business plan for your egg farm business, or when writing a business plan for your layers poultry business, it should contain the following. I'm just going to read through it. Number one, it should contain the executive summary. It should contain the business. It should contain the services. It should contain your market analysis. It should also contain your strategy. That's like marketing. It should also contain the operations. And lastly, it should contain the financial plan. So now we're just going to talk about each of these things I have listed and talk about them at least a bit in-depthly. The executive summary is the most crucial aspect of the business plan. This is because it provides a concise overview of what is expected in that business plan, such as business concepts, mission, vision, market opportunity, products and services. So that's the executive summary. So now the next thing is the vision and mission of the layers poultry business. So when writing a business plan for your layers poultry farm, and you have to write about your vision and mission, it is important to have a clear understanding of what you're going to do on that farm. The investor or the business owner or the farm owner has to be specific about what they intend to achieve with the business, with the farm. It helps to showcase what you're striving for. This identity will help direct every other aspect of the business. Example will be to be the most sought after egg poultry farm in Ogun State, Nigeria. Another example, to become the leading provider of top quality eggs across sub-Sahara Africa. Then also, if you have any other examples you can share with us, please write it in the comment section. And that's about the vision. Now let's talk about the mission. The mission of a layers poultry farm are the strategic steps with which to achieve the vision. A mission statement defines the business. It defines the objectives of that business. It defines how the business would achieve the vision. So an example would be 1. To ensure access to fresh and quality protein for the nation at an affordable price using the best agricultural practices. Another mission statement, to provide access to agricultural innovation through research and collaborations with other partners in the field and making a positive impact in the community we do business. You can let us know example of other mission statements you think of in the comment section. I should also say this, that when an outsider sees your mission statement, they should already have an idea of what you're doing in that business or on that farm. You should give a clear understanding of, okay, this is what they're doing in this business. So we have talked about the vision and the mission. Now let's talk about the business itself, like a business name, the entity of the business. So when you want to have your layers poultry farm, and you need, of course, you need a business name. And I should also note that when you're thinking of your business name, there are things to think about. The name must be easy to remember. Try as possible to keep it short and simple. You don't have to give such elaborate name to your layers poultry farm. I'd give an example like, okay, the Achievers Farm, Farm Rights Limited. These are just examples of easy to remember names that will make even your clients or your customers remember that, okay, this is this business. It shouldn't be something difficult. The next thing we'll be talking about under executive summary is the products. It is always advisable to stick to 1 or 2 products. For layers poultry farm, you're only dealing with production of eggs. So an example would be that at Modupe's Farm Limited, we are into the sales of eggs. Simple and short. Also, you should note that your product must be solving a problem. That's also very important, because if there is no problem that your product is solving, then what are you in the business for? Another example would be that at Modupe's Farm, we ensure easy access to cheap protein, which is egg, for school children in the community. That probably will be what we're solving. That's probably the problem we're solving using our eggs. Then also another example would be that, okay, we're ensuring to make available nutritious eggs for every school age children in Musimi community. Still under the business summary, let's talk about the goals and the objective of the business. As a layers poultry farmer, your goals should motivate you to wake up every morning and do better with your business. You can have your short-term goals, mid-term goals, and your long-term goals. All these have different years. Like your short-term goals are between 3 to 6 months. What do you hope to achieve in your business within 3 to 6 months? Then your mid-term goals, what do you hope to achieve in that business within 1 year and 2 years? And your long-term goals, what do you hope to achieve in that business in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? It is important when you're setting your goals for you to be realistic about it. I'll give an instance. So let's say at Modupe's Farm, we have 1,000 layer birds. So I wouldn't be realistic if I'm expecting 40 crates of egg per day from that farm. It is not realistic, because 1,000 birds will probably, the highest will probably get at your peak production will be 28 crates of egg. So I should have my goals set that, okay, this is what I intend to achieve with this my 1,000 capacity layer birds at the end of maybe 6 months, at the end of 1 year. So at Modupe's Farm, it is a 1,000 capacity layer pen. My goal is to produce 200 crates of eggs every week in the next 3 months. I am saying in the next 3 months because I expect that in that 3 months, my birds would have gotten to their peak production in that 3 months. So you see that my goals are not vague, they are realistic, and they are specific. They are also time bound in the next 3 months. So I will not set a goal to say, oh, I want to produce 400 crates every week when I only have 1,000 layer birds. I will not deceive myself. So in your business plan, in your layers poultry business plan, you should be realistic in that plan. So the next section now will be the business. Then under this section, you talk about the description of the business. You'd also talk about the background of the business. So for description of the business, you just talk about that, okay, at Modupe's Farm, domesticated birds are raised for egg. That's like the description of the business. Then also you talk about the background of the business. If it is an existing farm, you just say that, okay, in this farm, you just talk about the background of the farm. And if it's a new farm, you talk about the background of probably the owners, the investors. And also in this case, you can probably talk about their educational experience, their skills and all that, to show that they have the skills to manage that kind of business. Then also under this section, you talk about the problem you intend to solve, the problem and the solution. At Modupe's Farm, we're here to solve protein deficiency in school-age children, to make eggs available at affordable price in Lagos State, to make egg available at affordable price in Accra, Ghana. And under this section also, we're talking about the structure and ownership, because in this case you'd have the names of the investors or the owner of the business would be written in this section. So the next thing we're going to talk about now will be the services, description of the service. So when describing your service, it helps you to see beyond your interest. It also helps the investor with insights in that business. Then of course you have to consider your pricing, but yeah, we can't really talk much about pricing because pricing is not fixed. So many things can influence pricing, probably your feed, your inputs and all that. They will influence your pricing, but of course you have to consider that when you're starting the business. Still under services, you also talk about the future development, but because this is not set in stone, you can make adjustments at every time. So you can also have this in your business plan, in your layers poultry business plan, so that you can tweak it at any time. You can make adjustments to it at any time. Again, it is not set in stone. We would move to the market analysis. So under the market analysis, we will have your SWOT analysis. We would also have your competitors analysis also. So of course, egg is in high demand everywhere in the world globally. It's one of the cheapest protein we have. You can be assured of very good turnover every time. So that will be your strengths. The weakness will be the cost of production, biosecurity issue, very high capital. The opportunity will be that there is room for expansion, for growth and increased revenue. Then the threats you have in this business, there will be disease outbreak, inadequate fund, government policy, unfavorable government policies. Those will be threats in this business. Then now let's talk about the competitor analysis. So for your competitor analysis, you have to consider who your competitors are. You have to study your competitors, also try to know their strengths and also their weaknesses. This will help you to be better than them. So when you're thinking of your competitor, you also have to know that you need to have your own unique selling points and also your target market. So for me, let's say at Modupe's farm, my unique selling point is that I ensure to sell fresh and quality eggs at every time. My customers should know that, they should be assured that they are getting freshly laid eggs from me at every time. So who are my target market? Of course, we would only say that egg business is a very good business. If you have an egg farm, you have very good turnover. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't have who your target market would be. So who do you want to sell to? Do you want to sell to cake businesses? Do you want to sell to snack makers? Do you want to sell to snack makers in schools? So you should understand all this and have them in place. So this is a reminder to please tell you to subscribe on this channel. And I also need to plead with you. Please don't skip my ad. Please watch to the end. I'm sure it's going to be worth your time. So let's continue. So now we're talking about strategy, which is more like your marketing. What strategy are you bringing? How are you going to market your produce? How are you going to market the eggs from your farm? This is very important. This is one very important aspect in your layers poultry business plan. How do you intend to market your eggs? So like I mentioned, you have to have a target market. But what happens when that target market isn't there for you? What do you do? So you have to have a plan A and plan B. Always have that in mind. If you intend to sell to cake makers, what happens when that business closes down? If you want to sell to snack bakers or snack sellers in schools, what happens when schools are on holiday? These are things you have to also put in mind. So how do you intend to market your produce? Do you want to do word of mouth? Do you want to have flyers? Do you want to have adverts, billboards, social media? Do you want to pay an influencer to talk about your business? How do you intend to market your produce? You have to have this detailed in your egg farm business plan, in your layers poultry business plan. Still under strategy, you should consider, let me list them. You should consider the promotional strategy, you should consider your pricing strategy and your success factor. Like your success factor will be your attention to detail, health of your birds. Biosecurity should be unnegotiated. You have to have good litter system, quality hair, good water and quality feed. These are your success factor in your egg farm business. Another very important aspect in your layers poultry business plan will be the people. Who is going to be in charge of what? Who is in charge of marketing? Who is in charge of operations? Who is in charge of let's say picking the eggs? So depending on the size of the farm owner or investor should consider drawing an organogram which shows hierarchy in the business and shows what everybody does and who everybody reports to. It makes everything easy, and this should also be detailed in the business plan. So lastly, we're talking about the financial plan. In your financial plan, you're going to have things like cash flow, profit and loss, your balance sheets. As a farm owner or as a farm investor, your financials and your books should be your best friends. You should have a good understanding of how your books are at every time. How do you source for your capital? This should be written in the business plan. Your revenue, your profit forecasts, profit after a year or two, you can probably have an idea and have it in the business plan. And so yeah, it's getting dark now and I need to quickly wrap this up. So yeah, that's about how you can write your layers poultry business plan. And of course, if you've watched to this extent and you're still rather confused on how you can write yours, please send me an email, poultrywithmodupe@gmail.com. I have the email on the screen, and you can just book a session, 1 hour, 2 hours, and we can talk about writing yours and just write it out together with all these things I have listed. We can just draft out something for you and you would have your layers poultry business plan in your hands. I'm sure you want that. And all this I have listed can also be inculcated into any other business you have. Yes. So thank you for watching. And if you have not subscribed, you should do that now. Thank you. Till we see you on another video where I bring another interesting topic your way. Bye bye.